done that. If you consume a lot of social media, it actually becomes even harder for you to carve out your own, like your own little corner or your own little thing that you're known for. And I know you're thinking, oh, I want to be known for real estate. No, you don't. Because being known for real estate means that you are forgettable. And so you want people to, yes, know you're in real estate, but they also want to have what we call bookmarks in their mind, right? So that when they think of smiley faces, they think of you. When they think of, I don't know, certain kinds of flowers or peanut butter and jelly, or those bookmarks in their mind will allow you to be more memorable and for people to think about you on a more regular basis. Because there's a million people in real estate. And yes, we want people to have you be top of mind when they think of real estate. But the in with that is not just real estate content. The in with that is another way or a different way of people kind of remembering you. And that becomes really, really important over time because those people are going to be thinking about you every day or every week instead of only when real estate is relevant to them, which for most people is every 8.5 years. So when we think about it that way, there's a couple things that we want to keep in mind when we're creating. Now, for those of you who are still creating a photo with long form caption type content, you're probably going to have to stop doing that because it's just not performing the way. I mean, Sadie and I had this conversation like maybe 6 months ago. She messaged me and she was like, hey, I should be doing more video. And I was like, yes, you should be doing about 90% video if you can manage it. I've stopped all content except video content. So I'm actually not doing any long form written content anymore at all. It's all the base of all of it is video content. And then we are other than ads on Facebook, but all of the organic stuff that is going out is all video based. So with that being said, it is really important too that we carve out your own unique thing or something that makes you different. And the thing, honestly, and especially in real estate, that's going to make you different is fun, good content because there's not that much of it. Real estate content as a whole is actually quite bad. So when we start to think about, how are we using different aspects of different platforms, your key, number one, is going to be your short form video content, always. So Reels, TikToks, Shorts, all of those things, depending on what platforms you're creating for, are going to be the most important part. So we want bite-sized videos that are quick to consume, but full of value, which is why you will over time need to learn how to edit. Right? So who here has heard of the millennial pause? Has anybody heard that term before? Okay. So what the millennial pause is you can always tell someone is a little older, myself included. Like I have to cut it out because I do it too. We pause at the beginning of a video to make sure that the video is videoing, and that makes us look old. So that millennial pause at the beginning of a story, at the beginning of a video, the youngins, they make fun of us for it because we're not getting into it fast enough. And it's actually like, it's a thing. If you watch a lot of video content, you will see it where people pause before they talk once they've hit record. So you've got to cut it out. If you do it, you have to actually physically edit it out, right? It's like menopause, but it's your millennial pause because we're all getting there, right? So the millennial pause is a real thing, right? And so you have to be able to pack as much fun or as much value into the shortest amount of time. The other thing that will help your brand is what we call trend jacking. So this is like trending audio, trending challenges, but putting your unique spin on them. And this is where I think a lot of people in real estate really have a hard time. They're not putting their unique spin on them. And so when you use a trend and you use the trend incorrectly, it doesn't have the impact that you want. So you want it to feel more relatable, more engaging, funnier, things like that, right? So the example that I like to use all the time is how agents got this one trend wrong, because I saw it so much. Do you remember that trend where it was like, I don't know, we're kite surfers. Of course we blah, 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 right? We saw a lot of, we're realtors. Of course we eat lunch in our car, or, things like that. That was actually done incorrectly because you were creating content for other realtors. It should have been to your niche. We're first time buyers. Of course we blah, 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 right? We're first time buyers. Of course we had to ask our mom for our down payment, right? Like it should have been something like that. And so a lot of this really comes down to, are you creating correctly for the right people? And are you going to attract the right people? So the trend jacking, trends are like honestly some of the easiest content to create, right? It's the easiest to get views. It's the easiest content to create, but you have to be thinking about it from the angle of, who am I creating this for? Am I actually creating this for my niche properly? Behind the scenes content. People love to see the human side of business. How do things work behind the scenes? So how are you using behind the scenes content in your stories? Like Tom, we've had this conversation and I'm going to pick on you again. The stories have to change. The way that you're using Instagram stories has to change. We don't want it to look like a billboard. We don't want a whole bunch of stickers on it or anything like that. We want it to feel very in the moment and very organic. So it should be photos like B-roll or face to camera, things like that that are going to share your day to day. So the things that you're doing on a daily basis, it could just be like it could be that you're eating lunch in the car, but like a chat with me, or let me tell you a story about the time blah 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 happened while I eat lunch in my car in between showings, right? That type of content is going to make people feel like they're just sitting in the car with you. Like you guys are just friends, which is why if you're female, you've seen a lot of get ready with me content in your feeds. There is something about get ready with me content that feels like you're just sitting in the bathroom with your best friend and you guys are just chatting. And so that type of content will make people, and it's not unpolished content. It's not crappy content. It's just visually entertaining content with a story. How many people have watched an entire video, not for the story, but for what's happening on the screen, and then realized, oh, they got me to listen to the whole story, right? I do it all the time because I see so much get ready with me content, and then I'm like, yeah, I want to see what the makeup looks like at the end, right? And so because of that, I watch the whole thing, and then I'm like, oh, they actually got me to listen and consume the entire voiceover because I wanted to see the whole thing. So behind the scenes content is incredibly important. Now, behind the scenes content can be used in stories and in your actual feed, but it's just used in two different ways. Your stories are just going to be like clips of the day and things like that. If you want to use behind the scenes content in your feed, then you would do it as a vlog, like a day in the life. If you do a day in the life, there's two different ways to do it. There's past and present. So present being you're actually like speaking to the camera and walking people through the day and talking about things. And then there's past, which is it's all B-roll and you're doing it with a voiceover. So there's different ways to create behind the scenes content and play with it. You'll find your own way and the way that like you like to do it. The next part is interactive features. So using polls, Q&As, quizzes, your Instagram stories on Facebook. If you're on LinkedIn, this works really well on LinkedIn as well, right? So this will give you an opportunity to actually interact with the people who are following you. Like ask me anything or do a Q&A or any of those things, because then you can answer the questions that you're being asked. I have a friend who he does a Q&A at the same time every week. The first time he did it, like maybe 3 people responded to it. He's at a point now where he gets hundreds and hundreds of responses, and it's essentially his entire platform is just his weekly Q&A, and all week he just answers the questions and creates content based on the Q&A. And he is seen as an expert. I'm not going to tell you what niche it is because it's a little racy, but the format works super, super well. So if I do like an ask me anything about Instagram, right? You can say, ask me anything about the market right now, or ask me anything about my business, or ask me if you're a gardener, ask me anything about gardening. Just get your people talking to you. Get your people interacting with your brand, because so often, especially in real estate, because you're busy, you're posting and ghosting. You're posting something, you're closing the app, you're getting in the car, you're running somewhere, and then you're like, I don't understand why no one's interacting with my content. Well, are you interacting with anyone's content? Like, are you super active? There's part of the TikTok algorithm that actually will boost your videos based on how much you engage with other videos. So if you're posting and you're not actually interacting with any other content, your content will flop. Because the whole idea of social media is that it is social. And so if you're not being social on social media, your content won't perform as well. So polls, Q&As, like you can also do like, you could even just on your Instagram story, like if you are a baker, what kind of pie do you think I'm making? Is it blueberry? Is it raspberry? It's not an in-depth question. What you're doing is you're just allowing people to click buttons. You're allowing people to interact in some way, shape, or form. The next piece is storytelling, right? So, and we know, so whenever we're talking about storytelling, I talked about the millennial pause, but the first 3 seconds of your video is so important. So you have to use the first 3 seconds of anything to make someone stay. So there's a couple of ways to do this. We have visual hooks. We also have audio hooks. We also have text hooks, right? So a messaging hook could be like, did you know? Did you know that 80% of millionaires, blah, blah, blah? A visual hook could be something as simple as, or this, or sitting down. The Q&A, so with a Q&A, you're not doing it live. You're doing it as essentially a button on your Instagram. So if you go into Instagram stories, there's actually a place where you can do questions. So here, let me see. Here, this is a picture of Jen yesterday at Palm Trees and Playbooks. Then you go into here, you go questions, and you can actually just type in. It automatically populates as ask me a question, because that's what it's actually meant for, right? But you can change the text to anything you want. And so in the beginning, are you going to get 100 responses? No. But you train your audience to do what you want them to do. You also want to, and storytelling is so important when we're talking about content. Real stories, challenges, wins, failures. Like we've talked, and a lot of the standing out on social media comes from the personal side of the content. It's not going to be your authority content. It could be like unless you get really creative with it. Authority content is not going to be the content that makes people fall in love with you. It's going to be the content. It's going to be the content that's going to build some trust and build some credibility, but it's the stories that you tell. It's the funny stories that you share. It's the people who are going to feel connected to you. No one wants to see perfect, polished content all the time. it becomes very boring. And if that makes you uncomfortable, then that is the one thing that you as a person or as a content creator need to work on. Because if you're not comfortable showing up in a really, really vulnerable way online, that's your first thing that you need to work on. Because I can give you all the information in the world. I can give you all the content calendars. I can give you all the tips. I can show you examples of really good content. Your content will never perform until you get to a point where like you have a certain level of I don't care. You have to be able to show up in a way that feels very authentic to the people watching you. Again, everything has to be niche specific, which we've talked about. Like in real estate, like if your niche is first time buyers, right? The more targeted you get with your messaging, the stronger the connection will actually be. So you will actually get more responses, more comments, and more connection because you're niche specific. Responding thoughtfully to comments when you post. I see so many people who don't even respond to the comments of people who comment on their stuff. You have to comment. You have to reply. Those replies, why would someone comment on your stuff if you're never replying to it? And it's and they're just going to feel like they're commenting to no one and to nothing. Platform specific. So if you create like a lot of content, you do really well on LinkedIn, or sorry, on TikTok. Let's say you're on TikTok and you're on Instagram, but you want to take it to LinkedIn. You will get to a point where you learn how to adapt the content to the different platforms because the same type of content doesn't perform on every platform. Slightly more polished content, slightly more edited content on Instagram. More stream of consciousness, actually like face to camera, even more chill content on TikTok. Different platforms require different things. We already talked about get ready with me, day in the life stuff, reaction videos. If you see something that you adamantly love or you adamantly disagree with, that is going to be really good content. You can stitch it. If you see a comment on one of your reels or on something, you can actually react to that. You can make a reel reacting to that comment. That's good content. So the key to all of this is just like you are giving people something different than just you talking at the camera. So reaction videos, first impressions, reply to comments, and you can reply to comments or you can do this stuff in a lot of different formats. You can stitch it, you can green screen it, you can do this in a lot of different ways. We're finding that if you have something that you're really passionate about, especially right now, these are performing really well. We call them rants, but they're not really like, they're not negative rants. We don't want you to be like negatively ranting, but like it's the idea of like there's something that you feel really passionate about and you get passionate in a rant on a video. Those perform really well. Now, let's say that you work with people who are moving into smaller spaces. Maybe they're downsizing, they're moving into a condo. But you love to garden, and a lot of those people like to garden, focusing specifically on balcony vegetables rather than general gardening. Because your general gardening is no longer going to be relevant to them. Get them excited about downsizing and show them how to grow herbs or grow things on a balcony, right? Like think about your niche in terms of how you're sharing different things. First time home buyers, like create like strategies rather than financial advice or general market updates, like be niche specific. Upsizing or family oriented niches dedicated exclusively like to air fry recipes for busy professionals because it's fast, or slow cooker stuff, right? Like if you have people who are like upsizing and they're moving out of the city, then you would share or be more specific on like homesteading stuff. Like you want to be thinking about who is this for on a deeper level. Maria, I don't know who you mean when they say after posting, stay 20 minutes. I really think it's just like, just check in and answer questions, or turn your notifications on for an hour after you post and answer. What I mean is, like, don't wait 3 days to reply. And stop reading so many articles. Love you, Maria, so much. But I think that what ends up happening is you're going to get really confused over things, because there's a million different people who I can find you an article that says don't ever reply. I can find you an article that says reply in 1 second. I can find you an article, like, there's going to be a million different places that are going to give you a lot of different advice. But I think that, no, I also don't think that you are necessarily at a point from an expertise standpoint that, like, that tiny detail is going to matter. All that's going to, okay, Kathleen, let me show you. So it's not, it's in your Instagram. It's in your Instagram stories. So do you know how to create an Instagram story? So, like, we're going to open camera roll. We're going to, here's even a pig from yesterday. So we're going to open that to, let's say, create an Instagram story. Then we're going to go into, it looks like a happy face with on like a tab right here. There's like there. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to open this screen. You with me? Yeah, everyone with me? Kathleen, you with me? Okay. Then there's one of them that says questions. And if you click on questions, it'll say ask me a question. And then and you can change it to, you can keep it as ask me a question. You can say, tell me your favorite fruit. You can make almost anything in there. And then all you do is post it. Now, I think that any kind of interaction kind of content like that is going to do that. Lydia, I also think that this is actually the opposite of what's true. So Lydia is saying, my broker told us that in 2 to 3 years, social media will have no advantage over skills because AI can make people's videos for them. AI can make crappy videos. AI can make generic crappy videos. How old is your broker? And how active on social media has your broker been? Because social media is the number one moneymaker for businesses in 2025. So the more, what's going to happen with social media is the more authentic, the more niche down, exactly. The more authentic, the more niche down, the more engaging, and the more connection you can create on your social media, that's who's going to succeed with it. What we're not going to see is the thirst trap, fitness influencer type stuff. That's going to go down the AI route. And those accounts are actually not going to do particularly well because they can be recreated very easily. But social media is not going anywhere. The average person spends, I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying the average person spends at least an hour a day on social media. And so I think that there's a lot of, and I'm going to say this in a little bit of a harsh way, but I think there's a lot of older people right now who feel very threatened by what's happening on social media. And I think that this is not everybody, because I also see people who are my age and older who are really embracing it. But I also think that if your broker to also, and think about it from his thought process, or his or her thought process, if he can't teach it and he doesn't know how to help you with it, it's in his best interest to tell you that it's not going to be a big thing, because then he can create value for you in a different way. And I think that that's also incredibly important to remember, like, where's the message coming from? And what's the bias that is influencing the message? Do you have boundaries about what goes in a story versus a reel? I mean, a story is usually going to be in the, like an in the moment type thing. Um, I think reels are going to be things that are more evergreen. Like they're going to be things that sit in your feed and someone can go in and binge watch and learn more. They're going to be more almost like content with an outcome, whereas your stories don't necessarily have to have an outcome. There doesn't have to be what we call in marketing a payoff in your stories. Your stories can just be sharing throughout the day. Yeah, I mean, video makes a lot of people uncomfortable because we haven't grown up with a camera in our faces the same way, right? And so I think for a lot of people, someone said to me the other day, I hate the way I look on camera. And my answer to them was, that's what you look like. And I was like, sorry. Like the camera is not doing anything crazy. You don't look like a completely different person on camera. Right? And so I think that like a lot of that really just comes down to like, are you like, what is, first of all, yes, everyone feels to a certain level of discomfort on camera. What is it specifically about the camera that makes you uncomfortable? And then we can work with you on that one thing, right? I mean, I've said this a million times. I have a reel that's half created about the fact that, and I've said this to you guys 100 times before. The thing that made me the most comfortable on camera and on stage was I gained 100 pounds. I gained 100 pounds and it stopped being about what I looked like. And what I looked like didn't matter. What mattered was the quality of the content. And my content became super good. I built all of my credibility on stage, really uncomfortable in my body. And it became not at all about what I looked like. You've seen me come on here on these Thursday trainings. Sometimes I have makeup on. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes my hair is done. Sometimes I'm in pajamas, right? It's not about that. What it's about is what comes out of my mouth and the message that I have. And that becomes the most important piece, right? And honestly, we are the biggest judges of ourselves. I'm not scrolling through my Instagram being like, this person's eyebrows are weird, or like this person's voice is annoying. Like, that's not how I'm scrolling. I'm saying, does this person have something that I want to watch? Right? Does this person have something that is interesting to me? Some of my favorite creators ever are people who are not traditionally attractive, but like, I love everything that they put out. And so I think like, exactly. So Sadie is saying video is a muscle. And Sadie is one of those people who started in this program, never done video before. And she's gone from, oh my God, video to, oh my gosh, who cares? It's video. Right. And that growth is just through reps, repetition. The more video you create, the less it becomes a thing. And so if I said to you, you have to create 10 videos a day, you're going to be like, oh my God, at first. And then in 2 months, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, it's just another video. It's not a big deal. It's the buildup to making the videos that you're making into a big deal. Right. So, and exactly, you go back. So my friend Ara records a lot of videos, very controversial videos. He's extremely outspoken. Like he is polarizing to an extreme, especially at this point. I have his first videos. I kept them so that one day I could show him how cringy his first videos were. And I have I have the bloopers. I have the, God damn it, right? Like I have the like him screwing up on camera. I have all of them. And he's been creating consistent video. And like I can turn a camera on him and tell him to talk about something. And he's like, it's no big deal. And I was the same way. I've told you guys this story. Like when I first started creating videos, I couldn't even have Eve in the room. Now I created a video. I did a face to camera video in an airport the other day. And there was all these people around me and I was like, right? And then someone came up to me after, they're like, are you famous? And I was like, in real estate. I don't know that you want my audience. It's in real estate only, right? And so it just comes down to the get the reps in, right? Get the reps in. Be cringy. Who cares? What does cringy even mean? I'm cringy, right? You are going to be cringy to someone, especially your children. Your kids are going to be like, oh my God, mom, dad, like, what the hell? But what they think everything that we do is stupid and cringy, right? I think the fact that they wear socks with Crocs is cringy. I think that's stupid, right? And so a lot of what you're going to be putting out there is going to be not for them. Who is it for? It's for your people to be able to find you. It's that beacon that you're putting out there to say, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's what I'm excellent at, here's how I think, and I can understand you. And those people are going to come to you and they're going to say, oh my gosh, you're my person. Right, 100%. Kimberly, just throw him in the garbage. Throw him in the garbage. He's not allowed to use the word cringe. He's too old. But like the reality is if you're, and have fun with it, have a good time with it. If you think about something and you're like, oh my God, I would never do that, just do it. Just do it and put it out there. I recorded a video yesterday. I recorded a reel laying on my bed. And then I put overlays on it. The video that I created yesterday was essentially like, it was my anti-bucket list. It was like all the things that you can't make me do because I don't want to do it. I'm laying on my bed because I was like, I need to record something and I'm laying here. I'm just going to record it. I'm not even going to sit up. And that's okay. You can do this in easy, comfortable ways. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. And then as you get better at it, you can be more intentional with it. You can learn how to edit properly. You can cut out the millennial pauses. You can put the overlays on it, right? So I'm going to do more, Gina. I have another 5 things that I have another anti-bucket list part 2, doing a juice cleanse, using TikTok filters that make me look like I'm a fetus, eating oysters, the ocean phlegm. Okay. Making my bed every morning. I do not make my bed every morning. Right? Like I have a million things that I could talk about. It's just a matter of like, are you having fun with it? Are you overthinking it or are you having a good time with it? You will stand out by being quirky. And if you're like, I'm not actually that quirky, yeah, you are. Right? I also, yes, I hate Crocs. I think they are like, I think that they should all be burned. I've never owned a pair of Crocs. And I will say that until the day I die. If I ever buy a pair of Crocs and you ever see a video with me in a pair of Crocs, I owe you $5,000 each. It will not happen. Crocs qualify as birth control. I agree. So I think that if like, that's funny. Derek, I want you to make a video today about Crocs as birth control. That's funny, right? Do not ship me Crocs. I will gift them to some poor person who doesn't have shoes. I will not wear them on my own feet. But I think that like so much of this is you, and it's about personifying you and making, like I said, bookmarks in people's minds. Something as simple as cheese and crackers can be your thing. What is your favorite movie? My favorite movie is So I Married an Axe Murderer. Right, Mel? So, but it's also so random and it's not the movie that most people think. So I could create a whole list of content on So I Married an Axe Murderer and find my people. I could do the accent. I could do the lines. I know every line of that movie, right? So I think that like something as simple as that. How many pairs of glasses do you own? Do you own one pair of glasses, or do you have like 10 pairs of glasses? If you have 10 pairs of glasses, does your personality feel like you change a little bit? Are you like a little different depending on what glasses you put on your face? That's a piece of content. Are you terrified of the dentist? Being scared of the dentist is content. Do you love getting your blood taken? That is content. Right now, I am on a jewelry kick. Carolee keeps making fun of me that every time she sees me, I'm wearing more jewelry. Right? That's content. My no buy. I finished a lipstick yesterday. I will create content on that. You better believe it. It's like my proudest moment. Right? That's content. These are all things that are bookmarked in people's minds. Today, I am wearing a Peace, Love, and Eleuthera shirt, and I am also drinking out of an Eleuthera Bahamas mug. Why? Because half the crap that I buy is from gift shops on this island because there's nowhere else to buy anything. So when I go out and I like feel the need to shop, I have to go to a gift shop and I then buy a whole bunch of swag from Eleuthera Bahamas, right? Like that is all content. And it's all different and it's all interesting to certain people because you think that you're boring, but all of these tiny little things are actually interesting to someone else. And it allows them to feel like they know you. It allows them to feel like you are either different than them or the same as them, both of which are connection points. So what's a good ratio for content? For example, personal funny rant. So for personal content, if we're just thinking about personal content, we have personal story, personal philosophy, personal beliefs, like all of that stuff. I would say 30% lighthearted, 30% past, 30% present. But also don't overthink it. If you have a great idea for a personal story content, like the past content is always going to be like stories, things that have like made you who you are. Sometimes they're going to be funny, sometimes they're going to be serious. The present stuff is going to be like what's going on in like present Melanie's life. And then the lighthearted stuff is usually like in the moment, but a lot of the time the lighthearted stuff can be done with trends. There's a trend going around right now with like all the nicknames that you have. Like, you know, I'm Shannon to the government. I'm Shan to my husband. I'm Shanae to my dog. You know, like those things, like that. And that's a personal piece of content because people are like, that's so funny, right? The only person who's allowed to call me Jessie is my dad. I am not a Jessie, right? I am not. When I hear the name Jessie, I think frills. I think frilly and I think like poofy sleeves and like, you know, those things. And like, I'm not a Jessie, but my dad calls me Jessie and that's okay. Right? Like that's content. So I think that a lot of the time that we are considering, I'm not interesting or I don't know what to talk about, everything is content. How can you make the small things big? Because I think what's happening is so many people are constantly looking for the big things to highlight. But that's not good content. Good content is how do we make the small, insignificant things big? And then that makes people feel connected to us. Is that helpful? Cool bananas. This was way longer than I expected it to be. I hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to go check on my children that are in my living room right now, my agent children. They seem to be fine. But yeah, if you need anything, if you have questions, go for it. Just do it. Ask me questions. See, this was kind of a rant for me. I just got super passionate randomly about these things because this is the stuff that is going to like really make you stand out. This is the stuff that's going to make you interesting to watch. Cool? Amazing. Go forth and be great. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.